pillar of the Black community, she urged people to stay resilient and hold onto their faith during President Trump's tenure. I'm Heather Bosch, CBS News.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
All right, Hafa Day and welcome back. You're tuned in to Challenge the Status Quo on Wave FM 105.1. My name is Melvin Wonpat Borja. I'm the Executive Director of the Commission on Decolonization. This show is brought to you by the COD office and our friends at Glimpses. We are back for another installment of Political Status Conversations for Guam. I have to, right off the bat, I got to apologize. I don't like apologizing right at the cut, but... We're supposed to have Free Association Task Force in today, but they asked to reschedule. So my apologies to the listeners. Last week we had the Independence Task Force that was led by co-chair Dr. Michael Lujan Bivacqua and task force member
Josh Lorente.
Josh, that was Josh, right? Yeah, Josh Lorente. Thanks. But yeah, so the plan was to have each task force in subsequent weeks. Unfortunately, we had to reschedule to another Monday. But we are working on getting the Free Association Task Force and the Statehood Task Force in here soon. Stay tuned, and we will keep you posted. Thanks to everyone who is tuned in on the Guam COD Instagram live feed. Hey guys, and of course to everyone watching online at the Wave 105 YouTube. And if you still got you an antenna, your car is capable. What's going on, Radio Land? We're doing the thing. So since Mes Tamoru is upon us, I keep messing this one up. I kept thinking there's like one more week of February, and there's not. This is the last week.
This is the last week, right?
Yeah, it is. It is the last week of February, so we'll be kicking off Mes Tamoru next week, Monday. And of course, Monday is a holiday. It is Guam History and Tamoru Heritage Day. That's the one that we swapped out for President's Day, because we don't vote for president as an unincorporated territory. So we made us our own. We're like, which one of these is expendable? Is it going to be MLK Day or is it going to be President's Day? Easy choice. Easy choice. Thank goodness we still do MLK Day. Who knows? Maybe that's on the chopping block too. DEI cuts. I heard that, we're going to talk about this later in the show, but I heard that Dodea schools are not, they can't do Black history anymore. Like, this, like, half the kids, it's messed up. I don't know what is going on, guys. Is it 2025? Because it feels like 1825. I don't know what is happening, guys. But I wanted to start today's show off with a little bit of history lesson. So we're going to start today's show with some highlights of Guam's history of colonization, which dates all the way back to 1521. And, Ferdinand Magellan touching ground at, which is debatable. Some people say it wasn't Humatec Bay, but don't say that to anybody in Humatec, because it's for real. The celebration down there is for real. Which, by the way, I really enjoy. I always thought that, like, I'm like super anti-Spanish colonization. And for a long time when I was a kid, I was like, I'm not going to Discovery Day. Magellan didn't discover us. Come on, man. No, I saw bad sports about it, but I go now because it's pretty awesome. And I think it's cool that the way that the people of Humatec remember this, this landmark date, right, when Magellan landed on Guam, and the way that they depict it, I think, is done very well. So, shout out to all my my friends down in Humatec who do the thing and are involved every year. It was particularly fun. I have to admit, there was one. They did like a commemoration down there in Humatec when the Elcano was here. I don't know if you guys remember this, but a few years back, they were celebrating the circumnavigation of the globe by the Elcano, which was which was one of the ships in the Spanish fleet that stopped in Guam on its way around the world. And so they had all these Spanish officials here. They had like a Navy captain here. There are three representatives who were here on behalf of the King of Spain. And so they had like a professor from, I think, Madrid, University of Madrid, and two military officials. And all of these places around the globe that had contact with the Spanish at that time were, conducting their own kind of remembrance of this historical moment. And it was, obviously very, how do I say this nicely? It was a very nuanced engagement. So we, like the Philippines, created our Historiata Commission, which was basically the group of people who were brought together to coordinate and organize all of the public engagement and events when the Elcano was coming. And they refurbished the Elcano, and they're sailing this thing. And it's, by the way, it's a beautiful, beautiful ship. It's hundreds of years later, I can look at the ship a little bit more objectively and be like, yeah, that's a nice vessel. It's actually really beautiful. But, nonetheless tied to an ugly part of our history. And so when they had this delegation come, of course it was very controversial. There are a lot of people who were very much against celebrating, this very trying time for our people. Spanish colonial rule lasted like 217 years. And so, it's no joke for our people, obviously. But, since that time, there's been a lot more kind of peaceful engagement between Chamorros and the Spanish. Not long after the celebration of the circumnavigation of the Elcano, they opened a Chamorro exhibit. It was called Biba Chamorro, and it was held in Spain, in Madrid. And a bunch of people from Guam, from the university, went out to participate. There was a bunch of folks who, were brought with them cultural items to be put on display. And it was a huge thing. I was getting sent photos of like their banners and billboards and advertisements around this exhibit. But nonetheless, it was a very precarious thing to organize here on Guam. Obviously, on the government side, there was a lot of effort in trying to keep this as peaceful and diplomatic as possible. We're dealing with representatives from the king, and so folks wanted to maintain decorum. I think it's the best way to say it. And I got brought on. I was tasked with, I'll give you one guess. My job was to deal with the people who were going to protest. Which is extra conflicting for me, right? I was like, man, guys, I can't show up to the protest because I'm on the clock. I got to work, guys. I would be there with you. And it was rough because, this was, high security event, right? We're dealing with government officials. They brought the boat into the port. And so, we're trying to work it out, right? And trying to figure out, my whole thing was like, look, you can't take away the right of people to peacefully assemble. And so finally we agreed, right? Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to like provide space for, folks who want to protest. And of course they put the protesters in like the parking lot, like 300 feet away from where the ship was being docked. Which, I think was challenging to say the least. But nonetheless, there was, folks found other ways to engage. And it was tough. It was definitely a tough one to navigate because, there are a lot of people who are trying to make nice, right? Make nice and figure out ways that we can move forward in friendship and diplomacy, and to, just to be fair. You could argue that the Spanish government treated Chamorros better at the back end of. No, there's no denying that it was ugly and rough in the first 100 years. But in the back end of Spanish colonial rule, before the signing of the Treaty of Paris, even after the signing of Treaty of Paris, the Spanish government actually extended the opportunity to Chamorros to become Spanish citizens, to become citizens of Spain, which is a really interesting thing, because keep in mind that the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1898. And, that's what effectively sold Guam, along with Cuba, the Philippines, Puerto Rico, to the United States. But it wasn't until 1950 that the people of Guam were granted U.S. citizenship. And so, it was a long stretch, 51 years. Oh, no, sorry, my math is off. 61 years. Before it was even considered. And so, it's not to say that you won't ever catch me saying that this colonizer was better than that colonizer. Colonizers suck, period. But, I think that there's something to be learned from the difference in perspective and the way that, the Spanish government saw the evolution of this colonial relationship versus the United States. And I mean, it took how long until the United States kind of recognizes and honors our human right to self-determination and to decolonization. We've been a colony of the United States for over 120 years. I think it's 127 now. So, it's definitely a tough sled, I think, for a lot of us. Especially if the history of it. So, blah, 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 Elcano. But let's jump into this history. So, Guam's history of colonization spans over 330 years. March 6, 1521, with the arrival of Ferdinand Magellan into the Marianas, kind of is the marker. But in 1565, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, who was a landowner from Mexico City, took formal possession of Guam on behalf of Spain. There was continuous Spanish presence, which began in 1668, when Father Diego Luis de San Vitoris was sent on a mission to Guam, which was approved by King Philip IV. So San Vitoris was the head of the colony and by default became Guam's first governor, which is not that different than, the way that the United States kind of implemented local government by utilizing the Navy. In 1672, Father San Vitoris was killed by Chief Matapang, Magalahi Matapang, and this initiated 27 years of Chamorro resistance that was eventually suppressed by Spain in 1698. And this is a really interesting one. When I was a little boy, we always kind of were told that the Chamorros were just annihilated by the Spanish. They came in and they overwhelmed our people. And I always had a hard time kind of believing that Chamorros were just complacent. They just were oh yeah, we love you guys. By all means, come and build this church. And Oh, you want us to like abandon our indigenous spirituality? Sure. We'll just become Catholics and do the whole thing. I had a really hard time kind of imagining that it was just like this smooth takeover. And the way it was explained to me when I was a kid was that like the Spanish had more advanced weaponry, which would be like crossbows. I was just like, I mean, it's not that much more advanced than a sling stone. I'm just saying. And I just had this really difficult time imagining that was it. You know what I mean? The Chamorros just kind of said, well, it's a new day. Let's just let this one go. And it wasn't until a lot later in life that I learned that the Chamorro-Spanish War lasted over 20 years, 27 to be exact. And during that time, there were roughly about 93% of the population was killed during that first wave of the Spanish era. Chamorros were obviously being killed through violent conflict during the Spanish-Chamorro War. But there were also a number of, diseases that were brought here by the Spaniards that we just had never seen before, didn't have cures for. And so I always kind of argue, this is my regular wheelhouse. I argue a lot that if you consider yourself a Chamorro today in 2025, I think it's nothing short of a miracle. You think about 90% of the population being killed by either war or disease. I mean, that's the definition of genocide. And here we are in 2025, and there are still people who are Chamorro. Chamorro still exists today, which is, I think, an amazing thing. And I also think that's important that, we honor that history during Mes Chamorro. Obviously there are a lot of people who say that we shouldn't be doing Mes Chamorro. We should just, Chamorro is every day. We should be perpetuating, practicing, preserving the language, culture, history every day, which I absolutely agree with. But I think of Mes Chamorro as for everybody else. Mes Chamorro is for everyone else. For us, it's every day for sure. But I think it's important that we are deliberate in our recognition of this history and the complex nature of our relationships with other nations. So during this time in 1672 to 1698, the Spanish imposed governing structures. They had 5 districts, and each had a main village or pueblo with a church. And there was a priest and a soldier that were assigned to each pueblo, and they led they used leading Chamorros as principales. So they basically, brought locals in to kind of help win over the community. The impact of war on the population in 1680, and this is to the point I was making earlier about the genocide of the Chamorro people. In 1680, Guam's population was approximately 7,000 people, which was a considerable reduction from 50,000, which was the estimate at Salvatoris's arrival. So the population reduced by the Chamorro-Spanish War was further reduced by epidemics in 1688 and 1693. Brought on by diseases that were brought by Spanish ships. And keep in mind that, the Spaniards were starving when they got here, right? They were sick, they were starving, which is kind of what led to this labeling of the islands as Isla Ladrones. As you may or may not know, Chamorro culture is based on reciprocity. And so, when Chamorros essentially saved these sailors, right? Fed them, healed them, brought them back from the dead. Chamorros thought that it was an exchange. They thought, okay, well, we just gave you all of this food and these supplies. We gave you medicine and allowed you to stay here while you recover. And so what you got on that ship, homie? What is this hard substance that you use to make these things you call nails? We've never seen this before. And so, of course, there was interest in these items that were unfamiliar to Chamorros. But that, sparked further conflict between the Spanish and the Chamorros. But moving on, Spanish colonial rule, again, lasted about 217 years. Toward the end of Spanish colonial rule in 1885, a royal order allowed for village-level democracy. With this order, Chamorros were allowed to elect a, I'm going to butcher this, gobernadorcillo. I'm butchering it hard, guys. I did not take Spanish in high school. But basically, these were local officials who were among the Principalia class, and they were granted governing powers, right, to establish and create and run a local government. And so even within the Spanish era, there were efforts to elevate local government and to encourage the people to govern themselves, to participate in it. Which is, I think, also a reflection of the Treaty of Paris, which we'll talk about in a second. The Treaty of Paris directly references the advancement of civil and political rights of the native inhabitants, which I always found as super ironic in light of the Davis case and the outcome of the Davis case. That term native inhabitant was challenged regularly and was deemed as racist, even though it is not an ethnic definition. It's a political definition, a time-based definition, which includes ethnic Filipinos, right? Because there was a large population of Filipino workers who were brought here for to conduct the work of Camp Rojas after World War II. Many of the Filipino workers that were brought here and lived in Camp Rojas, which is down in Sumay, Agate area, Santa Rita area, they stayed on. They took up permanent residence here, and so they also became U.S. citizens by an act of Congress, which is the Organic Act of Guam, and not by an act of self-determination. And so when our local government, our legislature, drafted the law and passed it on the political status referendum and defined voter eligibility as those who are native inhabitants and their descendants, it was built in order to address everyone on Guam who became a U.S. citizen by act of Congress, not by act of self-determination. So, it was an act of restorative justice, which I know is a no-no now. We don't say restorative justice or social justice. I don't even know if we can say justice anymore. I think justice alone is okay, but not restorative and not historical. That's out, at least according to President Trump. So in 1898, of course, as you know, the Treaty of Paris led to the exchange of Guam, the Philippines, and Puerto Rico to the United States in exchange for $20 million. $20 million. Yeah.
I was like, freedom, and you're like, 20 million. I was like, oh.
20 mil.
Love that.
Yeah, that.
Love that.
It's like 5 mil an island. Ugh. 5 mil an island. That's it. That's what Guam was sold for. So with the signing of the Treaty of Paris, which was, of course, was a treaty to end the Spanish-American War. The transfer of Guam's sovereignty did not involve the Chamorros, and other than the assignment to the U.S. Congress the power to determine civil rights and political status of the Chamorros, there was no explicit obligation placed on the United States to cultivate self-government or improve the political, social, or economic well-being of the indigenous people. And this is tough because if you read the Treaty of Paris, it says that the advancement of the civil and political rights would be the sole responsibility of Congress. It's obviously it's frustrating for the last 120 some odd years. Congress has not been amenable to an act of self-determination, to advancing the civil and political rights. I mean, some people will argue, Congress has advanced our civil and political rights, and that's why we're a modern organized government. But I would argue the opposite. I believe that we're a modern organized government because we have insisted that we should be one, and we have proven that we have a desire to do so. The U.S. Navy, under an appointed governor, was given complete and unquestioned authority over Guam, which is tough. For a long time, the U.S. Navy was kind of like the monarchy on Guam. Whoever was the highest ranking naval official was just by default named the governor of Guam, and there was no local participation in government. From 1941 to 1944, of course, this was the Japanese known as the Japanese occupation. The imperious Japanese Navy invaded Guam during World War II, and they ruled Guam for the purpose of establishing the greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere. If you're interested, there's a bunch of great information that's on Guampedia. There's a lot of stuff actually on Guam's political status and self-determination on there as well. So since 1989, there have been a number of, 1898. Since 1898, there have been a number of milestones in regard to Chamorro self-determination efforts. Of course, 1898, which was the Treaty of Paris that defined, native inhabitants. In Article 9, which is the one I was referring to, it reads, quote, "The civil rights and political status of the native inhabitants of the territories hereby ceded to the United States shall be determined by Congress," which I think is counterintuitive, right? Even though I think this is valuable in the sense that there is this definition of native inhabitant and this responsibility that was put on the United States and their Congress. It turns around and says that it shall be determined by Congress. It's self-determination, not congressional determination. And so, having the political status determined by Congress, I think, is counterintuitive to the right to self-determination. And that's precisely what the U.S. Congress did, right? U.S. Congress is what made Guam an unincorporated U.S. territory, which upheld the validity of the insular cases, which then allowed for the legal discrimination against residents in the territories, which still exists today, right? Even though we recognize that the insular cases, even the courts recognize that the insular cases were clearly racist, they still nonetheless provide a framework for territorial relationships between these non-self-governing territories and the larger United States. Some of you may recall there was an organization a while back called We the People. It was actually led by a local resident, Neil Weir, who went to graduate of Southern High School, whoop whoop. The effort was really focused on an attack on the insular cases. And so it included, of course, Guam, the CNMI, American Samoa, Puerto Rico, and to some degree the U.S. Virgin Islands. But there was litigation that was attached to American Samoa via American Samoan citizens living in the continental U.S. So one of the major differences between American Samoa and Guam is that American Samoans are considered U.S. nationals, not U.S. citizens, which is a little different than what we have here. Now that is what created the framework for American Samoa to institute certain policies on land rights, land ownership, very similar to the CNMI, right? Even though the CNMI has a covenant, right, in their Commonwealth status, they also have a similar thing, right, where if you are not from the CNMI, you can't buy and own land in the CNMI. You can lease land in the CNMI, but you can't buy it and own it. And that was built around their their understanding with the United States in regard to their Commonwealth status. And so there are a lot of people in American Samoa and in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands who were against this idea that we should just abolish the insular cases, even though even they agree that the insular cases are problematic and racist. They nonetheless provided this framework for their current relationship and the terms of that relationship with the United States. And so if the insular cases were to be abolished, what would then happen to their relationship? What would happen to their policies on land rights? What would happen to American Samoa's kind of inclusion of their cultural systems in their local government? And so that was a big question for a lot of people. And I look at this fight against insular cases and in regard to self-determination, very similar to our conversation around a constitution. So we know that Congress authorized us a while back. They authorized Guam to draft its own constitution. And there was a lot of support for this, but there's also a lot of resistance. And, I think the support is pretty straightforward, right? People look at a constitution as kind of the guiding document that gives that defines a people's rights. And, just like the U.S. Constitution, right? The U.S. Constitution are the inalienable rights of U.S. citizens. And so, of course, the most kind of popular one is the freedom of speech, right? You can say whatever you want. You can talk all the mess you want about President Trump, and you can't be incarcerated for disrespecting the president because you have a right to your freedom of speech as defined by the U.S. Constitution. So long as you remain a U.S. citizen, these rights should be inalienable, right? They cannot be taken from you. The problem, I think, that Guam encountered in this conversation is that Guam was authorized to write, draft, and adopt a Guam constitution, but the terms of that constitution had to be kind of subservient to the U.S. Constitution. It could not at any point challenge U.S. sovereignty over Guam, which, I think is the point, right? If we're gonna draft a constitution, then we have to know what kind of constitution we're drafting, because not every constitution is identical. And, this is not like some wild, this is not some wild obstructionist idea. This is even a very American principle, right? The inception of the United States was based on this idea that there were these, 13 original colonies, right? And each colony in the United States, well, prior to the United States, but each colony, had this idea that they should be self-governing. And even though they recognized the need to unify against the Brits in order to be formidable, they did not want to be controlled by a single entity. And so the agreement was that they would form this, United States idea with all of these separate colonies. And that, of course, they would have a federal government in which all of them participate equally, but each colony remains sovereign within their borders. And that's the existence of the state in the United States is based on that principle, right? That each of the 50 states is sovereign within their borders. And even though federal law does supersede state law, it does not prevent states from behaving as sovereign within their borders. So even if they disagree with the federal government, or the federal government says, no, we don't agree with this. This is our law. This is how we're going to run it. They nonetheless have that right to govern, to have a sovereign government within their state.
Mm-hmm. Like a great example, or you let me know if it's a great example, because this is what comes to mind, is when certain states didn't want to follow the no mask, some of them didn't, or some of them had their own ways of dealing with it. And I remember being kind of confused about that. Like, I thought we all followed the same law. Right.
And that was because at that time, right, the mask mandate went nationwide at some point. But before that, there were states that were implementing a mask mandate ahead of the other states. And that was happening because they were taking it on their own to say, this is what we want to do within our borders, even though the CDC had not yet kind of green lit mask wearing. Now, once the CDC said, the Center for Disease Control, once the CDC said, yeah, we're going to, we acknowledge the effectiveness of masks in curbing the spread of COVID, then all the states were had no choice, right? They just had to get on board. The entire union said, yes, we agree. Let's move on masks, which is a really interesting thing. I've talked about this a little bit in the past on the show, but when the COVID pandemic first broke out in Guam, we followed suit with the rest of the nation, the rest of the world, right? We went into lockdown. We had all of these restrictions in place. And I had I think half a day off. I thought I was gonna get locked down like everybody else. Be like, sweet, teleworking. I'm gonna focus on all this reading I gotta catch up on and writing. It's gonna be great. And then I got the call from the governor's office, like, Mel, you've been activated. Like, oh man, report to Homeland Security tomorrow morning at 7. I'm like, what? No, but I'm quarantining. I have to watch my social distance, man. So I got pulled in, along with several others, to take on a role. And one of the roles that I had was to work on communication and information. And so I got, put together with the team from Homeland Security and, of course, the governor's office and a few others that were appointed at that time. And we were tasked with gathering information and putting it together so that it could be disseminated to the community. Our whole thing was just to, be able to let people know what's going on and what they got to do. And so in the very beginning, we were just like everybody else, right? It was just like, keep your distance, stay home if you're sick, wash your hands, and that was pretty much it. And nothing was changing, right? COVID was still spreading like crazy on Guam. And just to acknowledge, COVID was serious on Guam. Like, there are a lot of people on Guam who lost somebody in their family because of COVID during the onset. And, so for all you conspiracy theorists out there that thought that COVID was just a scam and a hustle, I mean, people died. So I would say that it was not some conspiracy. I like me a conspiracy theory too, guys. But that definitely was not it. Our hospital, and anybody, I got family that worked the hospital at that time. It was crazy at GMH, everywhere, even at GRMC. I mean, there was just no escaping the impact of COVID. I mean, it was spreading rapidly, and it was tough. I think it was especially tough here on Guam because all of these things that we were advising people of, or even trying to impose on people, like, restricting gatherings. These are things that I think are counterintuitive to Tomorrow culture, right? How do you fangingi, or, pay your respects to your elders and keep your distance, your 6 feet of distance. I was personally practicing my long distance fangingi. From far away, I just reach my hand out like I'm going to take their hand. And I nyingi it from 6 feet away. Nyot, nyora. All of you, nyot, nyora. Which I have to say, I got to say that at least my elders had a good sense of humor about it. Nobody called me for that one. Everybody was like, good one, boy. That's funny. But yeah, it was tough. Obviously tough. I feel for all those people who had their wedding venue booked and ended up doing their wedding with the face shields. Those are the best pictures. Those are the best pictures. The whole wedding party with the bridesmaids are all did up and they have the welding mask on. Oh man. The welding mask and the face mask. Rough. I used to get angry letters every week. I want to say almost every day, but definitely at least once a week, sometimes more. I used to get these angry letters from our mañana, the Menamco, who are our regulars at Tamoto Village. They used to write me like every day. And like half the time they're not even writing me. They're writing to the governor, but they're giving me a copy. So I know that it's my fault. They're so upset because they're like, we had reopened Tamoto Village along with all the other businesses, right? Businesses were given the green light to reopen, but they still were holding on the protocol, right? And all of the restrictions. So, restaurants had to like have the distancing, everybody was brought down to like half capacity, or they were only allowed to do dine-in if they had an outdoor seating area, which is crazy, by the way. In New York, I went to New York not long after COVID, and all of these restaurants, I felt like restaurants in New York all got this upgrade. Because, space is super tight in New York. And what they started doing was building these like outdoor dining areas, and they go like right on the roadside. So there's the building entrance, the restaurant entrance, there's a sidewalk. You can't obstruct the sidewalk, but they put like this temporary, like covering where they set up all their tables and chairs on the first lane of the roadway. And so it's kind of like on the shoulder. And a lot of those businesses kept those areas. Like those things are still rocking today. And it was crazy because, at the time that was necessary in order to open these businesses. But a lot of them ended up kind of keeping the area. So they like expanded their seating capacity by like 30. And at the time, when it was being open, there was no seating indoor. So, most places had a limited seating capacity because it had to be outdoors. But yeah, when I was when we reopened the Tamoto Village, the Menamku would write to me and get upset with me because even though the village was open and they were operating, we still had Wednesday night market because it was outdoors and we were allowed to. There was public health had not yet allowed for the dance floors to reopen. That was one of the restrictions, right? No dance floors. And like, it didn't matter what I said. I tried to explain to them, like, Sina, I'm sorry. Dispensa to Sina. This is not my call, man. I don't work at public health, and I don't get to make this call. And public health doesn't get to make this call either. I think that was the most frustrating thing about it, was that we were kind of forced to just follow suit and just kind of deal and deal with it in a very precarious way, right? Man, I totally forgot the whole point of my story. I'm going to just pause on this Menamco conversation. I completely flew over it. But the whole thing about to Reese's point about the masks, and, states kind of getting on board and doing their own thing. I'll never forget this experience when, me and the communications team were talking about, what are we going to put out for information for the community, and what's kind of the next thing that we're going to start, encouraging people to do. And we were, of course, we're nerding out, doing all this research on what was happening around the world and, what was effective, what was working in curbing the spread of COVID. And there was a number of reports, multiple reports from multiple countries. And these are like scientific reports, right, with data and the whole thing. And, all of these countries were implementing mask wearing. And all of them were all of their data was showing a drop in new COVID cases once they started implementing masks. And so we asked, we were excited. I'll never forget this. We're super pumped. We're like, dude, this is the one. We're going to like change the game right now. So we brought the whole proposal, right, with all the data and all this stuff. And even the way that we were planning to kind of put it out there, right? Like how the kind of sample package version of the information. Like, this is the message. This is how we're going to communicate this. And so we took this to the governor and we're like, Gov, we want to encourage people to wear masks. Look at all this data. all these countries are showing, this major impact. And so, we want to clear this message so that we can start disseminating and getting this out to people. And so I never forget this. The governor was like, no, we're not doing that. And I was shocked. I was like super shocked. I was like, what? Are you serious right now? Like, Gov, you didn't even look at the data. Look at this. Look at how thorough this is. Like, I mean, come on, man. I thought we were gonna trust the science. And it's effective. It's working. And Gov straight up was like, look, I know that masks are effective. Okay, she said, I'm a nurse. Okay. She pulled that card. She's like, I'm a nurse. Okay, I know that it's effective. But the reality is that CDC had not given the go on mask wearing. CDC was still on the fence about wearing masks. And I don't know why. That part I didn't. That's where my research ended. I didn't dig into why CDC was so reluctant. But there was a point right in the beginning of COVID where CDC just would not acknowledge that this is the way to go. And so she pretty much was like, look, we can't do that. We can't do it until CDC gives us the green light. And then like a few weeks later, we started to see, I think New York was the first one. New York and California, I believe, were the first two that were just like, we don't care what you think, CDC, because we're sovereign within our own borders. What you gonna do about it? And so they just straight up were like, California government, we're doing this thing. New York government, we're doing this thing. And they mandated mask wearing within the city of New York, within the state of New York, state of California. And so, when we saw this happen, we went back right back to Gov. And we're like, Gov, New York is doing it. And then she was just like, all right, let's rock and roll. And I was like, what changed? You know what I mean? And she was straight up like, look, the CDC still hasn't green lit this thing, but there are states that are doing it and other states that are following suit. And so, this is kind of a classic Guam behaving sovereign moment where we're just like, well, let's just do it and see what happens. We'll do it and see, what they do. But it was a safe gamble in the sense that if the feds weren't going to drop the hammer on New York and California, why are they going to bother with us? And it was, great thing, I think, for us. I would argue that saved lives here on Guam. But nonetheless, frustrating in the sense that, we had to wait to see, until sovereign states are making a decision and behaving sovereignly before we could make a decision and behave sovereignly. And we just kind of had to like follow the trend, which is not that different than the way that we have followed the trend on other things like medicinal marijuana, recreation. Gov just signed an EO, I think it was just last week, to update the Gov Guam workplace, drug-free workplace policy. Because Guam, as you know, Guam has, implemented policy, local law to create the medicinal and cannabis industry, right? Recreational medicinal cannabis industry, and then has followed suit in the decriminalization of marijuana. So now on Guam, we, like other places in the U.S., cannabis was a federally controlled Schedule I substance. And that, was mirrored in local policy. And just in case you're unfamiliar, what does Schedule I mean? Schedule I means like the most dangerous drugs in the federal registry. Like what the federal government has Schedule 1, 2, 3. Cannabis was on Schedule 1, like with heroin. Meth is Schedule 2. Yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Seriously. I don't know who did the science on this one, but whoever the genius is, for some reason thought that cannabis was a more dangerous drug, significantly more dangerous than meth. Wow. And so, this obviously has impact, trickle down impact in a lot of different ways. Incarceration being one of them, right? You had these non-violent, like, pot smokers in jail for
like, I don't even belong here, man.
Yeah.
I got it all wrong.
What am I doing here?
What am I doing here?
I was just trying to get a hug, man. I was just trying to make peace. Just trying to get some sleep at night. Oh, it's not funny. It is not funny. And so now, the United States is kind of coming to terms with this, right? Because there's so many states within the U.S. that have proceeded in implementing their own state level policies on cannabis. And Guam, there's been a movement on Guam to legalize cannabis for medicinal purposes. This is a long-standing thing. And I don't know if when I was I think I was like 19 or 20. I'll never forget there was an election and Dr. Dombrowski, I don't even know if he's here anymore. Dr. Dombrowski is a medical doctor who was living on Guam. He was the first one that I could recall who ever ran on a cannabis platform. Like, he was all about it. He was all about it. As a medical doctor, that was his whole senatorial platform. He didn't win. He didn't win. But like, all the cannabis champions were like, this is my guy. We're on your campaign trail. And, a lot of people were advocating because he was the first one to kind of take a public stance to say, Guam needs a cannabis policy. And, that was back in, I want to say that was like 2001, somewhere around there. It was a while back. And the cannabis legislation was just passed, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or something like that, maybe a little more. It was a while. It was over a decade from this one individual, the first kind of public individual to put it out on a platform, to actual policy being passed. But I bring this up because I believe that the only reason why our policy passed and the only reason why it actually held water was because, again, we followed suit. Like, we were way behind the rest of the nation. California, of course, led the charge of the first state to implement a cannabis policy, a local, state level cannabis policy, which was also very, very problematic. Even after they decriminalized and legalized marijuana, the industry itself had a tough go because with the recognition of cannabis as a Schedule I substance in the federal eyes, it meant that federal law enforcement, particularly the Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, they would just regularly come in and raid these shops. That's why all of the cannabis shops in California were cash-based. And so they couldn't even get backed by a bank because their money wasn't safe. Even if they were to take their money and put it into a bank, that cash could get seized. And they did this regularly. The feds did this regularly. They would come in, they would like seize everything in the shop and make arrests and seize all of their assets. And then they would just walk away. Just walk away. Sometimes they wouldn't even make arrests. They would just seize everything just to kind of disrupt the business of, these local entrepreneurs. And it was wild, and of course, Californians were pissed because they're like, what gives? We went through the process here. We did the legal process. Are we sovereign in our state or are we not? And so they were frustrated. They're frustrated because they had made a decision as a community. They had implemented and they were in motion. And here were the feds just kind of interfering in their business. And then, other states like Oregon, Arizona, Washington, all of these, Las Vegas, all of these states kind of started to follow suit and develop their own cannabis policy. And that's also when Guam kind of got on board and did the same. And so, very similar in principle to the mask thing during COVID. We we kind of had to sit back and wait and see what other states are doing so that we can behave accordingly, which I just think is problematic, right? It's like we're only allowed to do something if somebody else does it first. I mean, the CNMI got their cannabis policies and implementation rolling way before us. And, you know, I would argue that a big part of that is because they have a different relationship with the United States based on their Commonwealth status. But nonetheless, you know, we have proven that we have a desire for self-government, that we are committed to running an organized government, and, you know, either you're going to let us govern ourselves or just call it what it is. Just stop calling it a territory, call it a colony, and just be upfront about it. You know what I mean? Like, we're all your indentured subjects, you know, and our ability to govern ourselves really is just superficial, ornamental, it's decorative. It is not a genuine act of self-determination, not a genuine motto of self-government. Anyhow, moving into the American era, I totally digressed here. I went off on this, man, and I went off all the way into the top of the hour. Shoot, you're supposed to give me the signal.
It's your own show too, so it's okay. Yeah, but we do got to take that.
We do have to
CBS
take a break. All right, we're gonna come right back to this. You are listening to Challenge the Status Quo on Wave 105.1 FM.
KGUM FM, Hagåtña, Guam. The sound of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Heather Bosch. The Trump administration is jump-starting its effort to lay off most federal employees who work for the foreign aid program USAID. The latest from CBS's Linda Kenyon.
Federal workers challenged the layoffs in court, but a federal judge rejected their pleas to extend a stay on those job cuts. The result is 611 workers deemed essential have been notified. But the Trump administration, through the Department of Government Efficiency, will eliminate 2,000 other positions at USAID, while a fraction of worldwide employees will be placed on administrative leave. A separate judge ruled the administration must restore funding to USAID's programs worldwide, at least temporarily. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
In an email, Elon Musk is demanding hundreds of thousands of other federal workers explain what they recently accomplished. Republican Senator John Curtis tells CBS's Face the Nation.
It's not unusual in a corporate setting to have people report and explain what they're doing, especially if they're working from home. So I don't think this is a request that is that difficult. I would ask my employees to let me know what they're doing.
Musk says he'll take failing to respond to his memo by midnight Monday as a resignation. Among those laid off, Greg Bafundo, who has rescued hikers and fought fires for the U.S. Forest Service.
People like me will not be available to help when the call comes.
The Vatican says Pope Francis is in critical condition now. Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan.
I was part of the conclave that elected him. I've gotten to know him. And so I worry about him as I would my own father, because he is our Holy Father.
The 88-year-old Pope is battling pneumonia. Israel has held up the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners slated to be let go as part of the Hamas-Israel ceasefire deal. Reporter Miriam Herschlag explains.
Israel says it's not releasing the 602 Palestinian prisoners for now because of what it called grotesque ceremonies in which Hamas paraded Israeli hostages and coffins in front of crowds. One of those coffins contained the wrong body, another reason given for the holdup. Talks on the next phase of the ceasefire deal are frozen as Israel decides whether to go for a truce or return to fighting.
President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration is expected to intensify. CBS's Christian Benavidez explains.
CBS News learned that the Trump administration is preparing to bring back Title 42, which would allow border officials to quickly deport migrants seeking asylum at the border over what the U.S. calls public health risks.
It was enacted in the first Trump administration during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777, 800-230-2777, or biglou.com.
Shockwaves continue to ripple around the country after President Donald Trump's Friday night purge at the Pentagon. WBZ radio reporter Mike Macklin has reaction from veterans in Boston.
Black veterans couldn't help but take notice of President Trump's firing of General Charles Q. Brown, only the second black man to ever hold the military's top office, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
I think it sends a message that, okay, you have to toe the line with Trump or you're out of a job.
Ted Gilbert served with the U.S. Marines.
He's never served, and that's what we were talking about. He's making decisions about the military for something he's never been there for.
Mike Macklin for CBS News, Boston.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris received the prestigious Chairman's Prize at the NAACP Image Awards. Harris called the civil rights organization a pillar of the black community. She urged people to stay resilient and hold onto their faith during President Trump's tenure. I'm Heather Bosch, CBS News.
I'm Larry Magid with the Connect Safely report. Tuesday, February 11th, is Safer Internet Day, recognized in more than 100 countries. Connect Safely is the official U.S. coordinator. And this Safer Internet Day, we're having a live streamed event from Sacramento, California, a webinar with National PTA, more than 30 events around the country run by local educators and nonprofits, and a parents' webinar co-sponsored with National PTA. But there are also resources that you can use at home to have a conversation with your family about issues like misinformation, cyberbullying, scams and predators, wellness, media literacy, and a lot more. You'll find resources, conversation starters, and videos at connectsafely.org/radio. With the Connect Safely report, I'm Larry Magid for CBS News.
Eggs are expensive, and one restaurant chain is passing the cost on to customers. I'm Brian Banmiller on Business. Waffle House is putting a 50-cent per egg surcharge in place to counteract the dramatic increase in cost. In December, the average price per dozen eggs nationwide hit $4.15, and the Agriculture Department predicts that number is going to go up another 20% this year. All of this is because of the biggest bird flu outbreak in a decade. Farmers are being forced to slaughter millions of chickens a month, which means a shortage of eggs and higher prices if you can find them. So to offload some of the cost, Waffle House is serving it up to customers. The company says it will monitor egg prices and will adjust or remove the surcharge depending on the market. It says it hopes the price change will be short-lived, but they have no way of knowing how long the shortage will last. The Georgia-based restaurant chain has more than 1,900 locations in 25 states. Says the egg surcharge is now in effect and applies at all locations. Brian Banmiller, CBS News.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
All right, and we're back. Thanks for hanging in there during our break. Welcome back if you're tuned in on our Guam COD Instagram. What's going on? Hey, Jeff. Hey, Jess. Hey, Byron. I see you guys there. All right, we're back in action. We're also streaming live on the Wave YouTube channel. and of course on your radio frequency at 105.1 FM. If you're interested in getting down with this conversation, the number is 671-922-1051 or 1052. You can even WhatsApp text a question. 1051 is the WhatsApp one. Oh, I'm not getting audio on the Instagram. Is it not working? Is it still not working? I'm counting on like 3 of you right now, or maybe 4. If you cannot hear me on the Instagram, drop me a comment and I will restart it. Oh, it's back. Thanks, Jess. Okay, thanks, Jess. Thanks, Byron. All right, we're back in the game. Yeah, 671-922-1051 on WhatsApp, 1052 on a traditional voice call. All right. Thanks, Frankie, checking in. And Brown Sack Backyard Barbecue. Yeah. All right. We got people tuned in. I'm stoked. You know, every now and then, like, it's always like one of the aunties that would stop me and be like, boy, I heard you on the radio. You know, I listen to your show every week. And I was like, for real? I appreciate that, Auntie. Just last week we attended a proclamation signing a resolution signing for recognizing Mother Tongue Day, which is this international day of recognizing the value of indigenous languages and our right to preserve them and to speak them. As you know, it's connected with our human rights and our identity as a people and our political rights as well. And so I was at this resolution signing at the Guam Congress, and signatory came up to me and told me, you know, I listen to your show every Monday, and I think it's really important because so many people don't even know what decolonization is and why it's so important. And it was just such a gratifying thing for me because whenever one of the Sina tell me that we're doing a good job, boy, you're doing a good job, keep it up, I feel some sense of validation and I'm happy. So thanks, Signatory, for tuning in, and for all of our Sina out there who are listening. We are just doing our part. You know, it wasn't too long ago that I was on the listening side, and I was doing the listen first before you talk. But you know, the reality for us is that there are a lot of our leaders, a lot of our Sina, our teachers, you know, people who have raised us, they can't do this anymore. So many of them have passed away. So many of them are, you know, dealing with their own personal struggles, just trying to survive here on the island in this situation. And so, you know, it's really, it really is one of these legacy things, right? You got to continue the work, and we're going to do it till it's done. But I'm excited because, you know, there are a lot of young people who have become very interested in this topic. My office has been very aggressive in conducting community outreach and really focusing on our young people. And I got to say that the perspective from our young people is very refreshing. It's always exciting when we go out into a school or into the community and, you know, teenagers are interested. They want to know more about it. They want to connect with us. They want to read our educational handouts. They want to do their own research, which is, I think, a very encouraging thing. I was not on this when I was a teenager. I mean, I definitely would say that I was supportive of it, but I just wasn't as, how do I say, I wasn't self-motivated to educate myself. You know, I just learned things that my parents told me. I read what I was told to read, and I listened to the people who I was instructed to pay attention to, but I didn't seek it out for myself. You know, which I think is one of the major differences that I've observed in our community. There's a lot of young people out there who are seeking the information on their own. You know, we're not telling them, oh, you know, this is important, you should care about it. There are people who come looking for us. Like, hey, I heard about this, you know, I'm learning about this in school and I want to know more. I just did an interview maybe a couple weeks ago with a young lady from Untalan Middle School. And I was super impressed. She was there because they were doing a research paper on the Organic Act of Guam, because this year is going to be the 75th anniversary of the Organic Act of Guam, which I think is problematic, guys. Like 75 years and we haven't elevated above this status. We haven't, there's been no substantive advancement of our status from the authoring and signing of the Organic Act in 75 years. And it's not to say there haven't been improvements. I don't want to discredit the work of 75 years of leadership here on Guam. And there are definitely a number of ways that we have become a lot more formidable, even as a territory. But nonetheless, the Organic Act is our Constitution. And it's problematic because we didn't write it and we didn't come up with it. We didn't vote on it. We didn't choose it for ourselves. It was just chosen for us and imposed upon us. And again, it's not a knock on anybody who feels like, that's what they want for the future of Guam, is to be fully incorporated into the United States. They want to become a part of the United States. That's a completely valid perspective. But you can't wholly, fully, equally become a part of the United States if you are still a territory. That's just the honest, painful truth. And so, I encourage you to learn more about the political status options that are available, one of which, of course, is full incorporation, otherwise known as statehood popularly on Guam. But there are other options as well. There's free association with the United States, and, of course, there's independence. All of these three statuses are superior to being an unincorporated territory. All of them give us an opportunity to legitimately govern ourselves, which I think is the most important aspect of it all. Hey, I got a call. We got a hit. All right. Hafiday, Jesse, you're on the air. You wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, buenos, Mel. No, I just, hey, man, good show this morning.
Thanks,
I think
Jess.
people should start missing their appointments with you more often to speak on all this stuff.
Yeah, free association. No,
No, don't be bad. I just wanted to make a comment earlier on, I put a comment on the Instagram feed on Guam Heritage Day, and it's just because earlier you said you said Guam Heritage Day, and then I think it sounded like heretics to me, but then I guess now like it might be like with the administration and us preaching how we preach about Chamorro self-determination, it sounds like heresy to a lot of people in that regard.
Right.
Like people get so engulfed in the idea of Chamorros, I guess embracing Catholicism at the onset of colonialism, and just Chamorros like just totally blindingly embracing American patriotism these days, right? And to speak like another narrative against that, right? Any kind of opposition, and like it comes off as heresy to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid point. There's clearly an attack on all things diversity, equity, and inclusion related. And, the reality is that we live in, under an American democracy and in an American society. And so, we are now the other, which I think is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of us, right? A lot of us who view Guam as the homeland.
Right, and especially just being here on our homeland.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's tough, and it's always tough to have to ask permission to feel how you feel or to do what you want to do in your homeland. And I imagine that is very similar to, the sentiment that a lot of Kanaka Maoli Native Hawaiians have, who are in a very kind of similar predicament, right? They are different, though, in the sense that they are a state, though that history also is a tough one to swallow. But nonetheless, I think that, like Chamorros, Kanaka Maoli have become the other in their homeland. We have to find these pocket ways to recognize and celebrate that history, that deep, long storied history. I mean, the Chamorro people have been here for 4,000 years, but, we still, the way that we are recognized is through Mes Chamorro, or, these kind of superficial celebrations of our language, history, and culture. And it definitely is not a deliberate thing. You know, I would argue that even the way that we have implemented compulsory education for, you know, Tomoto language, culture, and history has not gone without challenge. You know, it's like today it's a huge victory, I think, that every kid 1st through 8th grade is required to learn Tomoto language. And then, you know, kids in high school have to have at least 1 year of Tomoto language, 1 year of Tomoto history, Guam history, in order to graduate.
That, man.
And that's a huge victory for us. But, you know, we still got to defend that every single year. You know?
Yeah, man. And I appreciate you challenging all those fucking status quos. Dispenser. Viva.
Thank you, Jess. Thanks for the call. I appreciate you. Thanks for your comments and your sentiment. You know, it is a challenging thing. I was trying to save the DEI talk until the end because I've been going off on it, and so is Patty. I feel like me and Patty are creating this like Monday's 1-2 punch where it's like all the conservatives are like, "Oh, this is terrible. What are these guys doing?" But you know, it's
coming together for us, man.
It is, and I think it's important that we, you know, that we are deliberate in the way that we address this. But you know, this is something that impacts all of us. You know, it's tough already to have to kind of defend this stance that we have a right to exist, that we have a right to be respected and treated with dignity. But I mean, even on the other side of it, you know, as problematic as I can admit Dodea schools are in Guam, I mean, just in principle, I think this is problematic, you know, that we have an American education system, you know, this imposition of these American educational standards are placed on our government and our people. And there's still Dodea schools, you know, like they can't, like as though the kids of military dependents cannot get an American education in a public school on Guam, which we know is ridiculous. But nonetheless, right, there is this vibrant school system that has been in existence for some time now. And, you know, it was just on Patty's show last week. There was a woman that she interviewed who was a teacher at Dodea, who mentioned that, you know, that all these DEI cuts have resulted basically in Mes Tomoto's been cut, guys. No more Mes Tomoto in Dodea. Right alongside Black History Month, which is just wild to me. Like, I mean, I'm not surprised, right? Like when
it's some crazy audacity though, man.
It is. And I think the interesting thing about it is that now, you know, before it was kind of just this, it was kind of like a policy conversation, right? Like the policy nerds get all heated about it. But like, you know, the average Joe and Josephine are not, you know, it's like, and this is a little bit way out of my comfort zone. It doesn't affect me here at home. So, you know, I'm not really going to get all stressed out about it. But, you know, now it's like right on your front door, on your dinner table. And I think it's wild, you know, like I'm not shocked or even taken aback by, you know, the canceling of Mes Tomoto at Dodea schools. But Black History Month, that one too, wow. I mean, how many soldiers are African American, you know, serving in active duty? And how many of their kids are relying on this Dodea school system to uphold these values that are important to them? And now, you know, we're saying that that's not, you know, an appropriate use of government funds. And so, you know, it's a challenge, I think, for sure. But I think the benefit is that, honestly, this kind of pisses a lot of people off. And I think that that's a good thing, you know. This, you know, agitating the populace speaks volumes. You know, when the people speak up and take action.
We'll be holding up signs on the side of the road soon, I imagine.
Yeah, maybe it's the thing that motivates Tomotos to, you know, to engage in civil disobedience. You know, I remember growing up, that was always kind of a challenge for me. Is like, as I started to learn more, and I started to become more aware, I rightfully so, started to become a lot more agitated and angry and frustrated and disappointed. And so, you know, my knee-jerk reaction was like, let's protest. There's a protest, let's do it, I'm there. And I always wondered why there's not more people at these protests. And, engaging with my elders later is like, wow, man, like I can't count how many times I've been told, boy, that's just not our way. We don't do that. And, I know that a big part of it is rooted in, our history during the war and the Japanese occupation and, the so-called liberation of Guam and this sense of gratitude, that a lot of Chamorros were kind of imbued with, right? But nonetheless, here we are so many years later after, the liberation of Guam, and Chamorros, the state of Chamorros is not getting better. And our ability to, participate fully in this American ideal of democracy has not changed since the signing of the Treaty of Paris. It hasn't even changed since the signing of the Organic Act. So, and that's the thing that made us U.S. citizens. And, prior to 1950, that was the argument. It was like, well, we don't know these people anything. They're not even our people. They're not U.S. citizens. But now, you can't argue against it. We're clearly a part of the fabric of the American society. We serve at a higher rate per capita in the U.S. Armed Forces than anywhere else in the world, other than maybe American Samoa. And so clearly, our people are in this thing, and we're a part of it. There's more Chamorros living in the continental U.S. than there are in Guam. Shoot, there might be more in just Arizona alone or Washington alone. And, and a lot of our people have, not just taken up permanent residence, but have become, citizens of those states. And so they are part of the body politic, the voting body politic. I just got a notice that in San Diego, there's a Chamorro who works for the president pro tem of the city council in San Diego. And so on March 3rd, they're going to be celebrating Guam History and Chamorro Heritage Day in San Diego. And, that's only happening because obviously the Chamorro people are forced to be reckoned with in San Diego. They got the numbers to get the attention of city council representatives.
3 or 4 Guam clubs out there?
Oh, there's a gang of them. There's even what is it called? The House of Chamorros. Have you heard about this? The House of Chamorro it's like a community-run organization. And they actually reached out to me at the Department of Chamorro Affairs because they were interested in acquiring Chamorro artifacts to put on display for their people, to come and see. And it was a kind of a precarious conversation between us because, we're very weary of artifacts kind of leaving Guam and never coming back. And so even, when it comes to our own people, the Chamorro people are over here like, well, is this like a permanent borrow? Are you sure you're going to give this back to us? What about my bush cutter? And so, but it was nonetheless, right? Like I personally was very conflicted about this because on one side it was kind of out of my hands because there was a resolution passed that basically said that, or law passed that said that artifacts, any removal of artifacts from Guam for any purpose, whether it's being loaned or studied or whatever, requires a legislative resolution in order to allow it. And so that was kind of my out. I was like, sorry, Sina, I don't get to make this call. You got to talk to the legislature. If they pass a resolution, then, we'll play ball and we'll provide you with something that, you can put on display. But, that was kind of a conflicted engagement in the sense that, they were rightfully kind of upset, you know what I mean? Like, oh, what do you mean I got to go to the legislature? But at the same time, like, I think we have to recognize that exists. It's a byproduct of our colonial status. It's a byproduct of being under this inferior status, right? Because if you look at you look at the Bishop Museum, right, in the Hornbostel collection, For Native Hawaiians, NAGPRA, which is the Native American Graves Repatriation and Protection and Repatriation Act, which basically says that any grave items, whether human remains or great funerary objects, artifacts, they have to be returned to the indigenous peoples and the home that they come from, right? Unquestionably. Like if you can determine that, these are the remains of people from Guam, they have to go back to Guam. But see, Guam doesn't get included in that conversation because we're a territory that really only applies to First Nations peoples and Native Hawaiians. And so even in our conversation with the Bishop Museum staff, who, I have to say for the record, the Bishop Museum staff has been fantastic. They really respect the rights of our people to have these items returned to us. And they also recognize the inappropriate nature in which they were acquired. But the hard reality is that this is not as cut and dry as it would be if we were a state or if we were, we were covered under NAGPRA. And the only kind of real justification of the withholding of the recognized rights associated with NAGPRA is that we're not, we're a territory. We're not a state. We're not included in this federal policy. But, that's also, I think, the argument, right, for us to resolve our political status, at least in this conversation, is that, obviously, if we're a state, we'd be covered under this federal policy. But also, if we were freely associated or independent, there's another set of rules and standards that have to be adhered to when it comes to our rights as a people in regard to our ancestors and our funerary objects and artifacts. And so, it's a tough one for sure. But to your point, Jess, I really feel like, as hard as it is and uncomfortable as it is to have this conversation, I also think it's a necessary one. I think that people need to kind of be rubbed the wrong way. They need to be offended. They need to feel slighted. They need to feel disrespected in order for them to want to do something about it.
Yeah, man. And, just, speaking to that point as well, I was out there with Patehi Guahan yesterday in front of the base. Shout out to Minyaka Flores for putting it together. And man, there was like 11 of us, but dude, 4 of them were Manunku. And they were, they're out there freaking, holding up signs with us. And, there I am. I'm always assessing, like, who's honking, like, who's for us and stuff. And I got to say, man, like, majority of the honks and majority of the cheers passing by were from Manunku.
Right.
Tomorrow fishing dudes freaking, in their pickups just passing by honking. And it was kind of beautiful, man, to like see that kind of response from the community when, maybe 50 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago, it would be hard for them to do something like that, to understand something like that. And I'm glad that, maybe like the work we're doing, the work that they've done in the past has built up to, some semblance of solidarity between generations.
I agree, Jess. I definitely agree. And it's, it is refreshing to see. But we still got a long way to go, and I really feel like it's the responsibility now of the younger generation to carry that mantle. I think that the response from our elders is such because they are encouraged to see younger generations taking it up and taking responsibility for it. I think the big question is, where do we go from here? And what does this mean for our people as we advance toward, delivery of our long overdue rights and recognition.
Now, all every day and twice on Sunday.
Amen.
Yeah, Biba and Jess.
Biba,
hey,
thank you, Jess.
All right, brother.
Have a good one.
I just want to say 2 things. One, for anyone who's trying to get a hold of us, if the lines are ever busy, if you're calling on 1051, please call 1052, and I'll put you on our second line. And then also just please be aware of your language. All the bad words are not allowed, okay?
Yeah, Jess.
None of them. I'm sorry, Jess. I don't mean to put you out like that, like the teacher, that's pointing out the kid. But I just want to say everyone is allowed to speak with their mind and what they want to. But please remember that we are still following FCC rules, unfortunately. So we do have to take it back on the words. But I know you're passionate, Jess, and I know where your heart's coming from. I know you didn't mean to. I know it wasn't intentional. So thank you. But again, just for a reminder, please, everyone, watch your language. Thank you.
Jess was getting pumped up. I was getting pumped up too. I'm just trained. I'm super conditioned. Even my conditioning has been conditioned. Oh, man. 671-922-1051. If the line is ringing off the hook and you can't get through or it's busy, please call 1052. Thanks, Jess, for calling in. No worries, man. I hear you. It's hard not to be frustrated. I'm frustrated, too. That's why I make rap music. And it all has the explicit content. All right, I have another call. I got Marie, who is a teacher and wants to join the conversation. Hafide Marie, you're on the air.
Hi,
Hafide. So yeah, I've actually asked my principal if we could have you guys come as guest speakers to the school, but I never got that permission. But there was Republican politicians that were given permission to come by, a few fighters. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't got permission to have you guys come to the school yet.
If you feel comfortable, can you tell me what school you're at?
Because I have your books, your resources, and I've been trying to get more free or I have a bunch of free resources for my students that I use, and I wanted to make a suggestion because these days a lot of kids, a lot of people, even adults, are really lazy and they don't like to read, right?
Yeah.
And it would be really nice if, I don't know if you guys have funding for this, but to create more, I guess, video educational content.
Yes.
That discusses like what you have in your books and your resources. I also am very active online. I'm trying to educate people and then leading them to you guys, but they often are lazy, don't want to read. They want me to spoon feed them all the information.
Right.
And I'm like, no, it's all there. It's all free. Can you just go read it? I have kids. I have 2 jobs. I don't have time. But yeah, this generation is very lazy. And I think you guys are going to have to start making more video content for this very lazy generation.
I appreciate that, Maria, and I'm hoping that there's a couple of my board members who are listening because we want to do that too. We actually did produce 2 documentaries, two 30-minute documentaries. One is kind of like a decolonization 101. It's meant for the lay viewer to kind of give you some context about Guam's history in this struggle, our right to self-determination and decolonization, and the path forward. The second documentary is a little bit more technical. It's really built to give you an introduction to the self-determination study that we produced. So it features interviews from the 3 lead scholars who produced, who are the leads behind the research, right? And it's an introduction to what the study is, how it was written, and what it's meant to do. But one resource that you might be interested in, it should be on our YouTube page, but if you don't mind, if after our call, if you could hang on the line and give your contact information to Reese, who will pass it to me, I will have my staff send you files if you can't find it. But we did produce a while back, we produced a segment with Nihi Kids. I'm not sure if you remember Nihi Kids.
No, I did. I have that actually in my sister's
Nice. Okay.
It's just there's so much more information, right?
Oh, absolutely.
For example, for each status, like people want to know, like, well, how will this apply under this status, blah 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 blah. And I really wish I had time to explain to every single person and and I do. I take a lot of time, but I'm like, dude, no, can you please go read because I don't have time. But it would just be, it would be nice. It would be much more easier to educate people with content. Like if you guys have an Instagram,
right?
I know you guys have Instagram. Like if you were to make reels that were easily shareable, and I know that you guys already do a lot. I probably don't have funding for that much, right? But it's just a suggestion because I'm noticing that it is really hard to educate people, students, but I'm with most kids that I've worked with, high schoolers, because I teach high school, it's always those videos with on point, like short videos, that go straight to the point, or infographics that like are able to, get into their minds.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's definitely not lost on me. My crew is listening on this show, so we are gonna get on it. Yeah, you're right. We don't have a whole lot of funding, but I'm a former public school teacher too, so I know how to make $1 out of 15 cents, and we will figure it out. Somebody out there is going to partner with us and help us produce this. We're going to make it happen. But absolutely, and I think it's a valid conversation that we will have with the task force representatives as well. It is necessary to have status comparison and do that analysis in our community.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole reason why the task forces were built.
People are really uneducated here. Like, majority of adults that I've talked to, are super uneducated, have no idea what each status means, have no idea that, like, under free association, we will still be in partnership with the U.S. They automatically think decolonization means no more U.S. And, but these are adults.
It is pretty disheartening.
That is crazy. And then they call me a bully for copying and pasting literal facts that they could Google themselves and making them feel like dumb. But I mean, if you don't have the patience to Google something within a couple minutes, and you're asking people to spoon feed this information to you, you're not that smart. But unfortunately, that's just what we have to deal with, right? And education is the key to decolonization. It really is key. We have to educate people. It's the main reason why we are actually still under the status is because people are not well educated, so they're not willing to fight. They have no idea why they should.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. I really feel like if our people were more vocal and deliberate about demanding self-determination and decolonization, that we would be in a much different place than we are now.
And with the defunding of education, I feel like it's only going to get worse.
Oh, it absolutely will get worse. But
now we have more work to do.
To your first point, I think it's sad and disheartening that you did not get approval from your school administrator for us to come in and do outreach. If that ever happens to you again, it's mandated by law. It has to be a part of the school curriculum, decolonization and political self-determination.
But they haven't allowed me to bring you guys as guests. I literally waited, and then I asked for permission again. I haven't gotten it from. There's always a different excuse, there was a student incident, da-da-da-da. But then we had, 2 fighters come, and then there was 2 Republicans. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. MMA and GOP, let's go. All right. Well, please definitely pass your information to Reese. I will have my team get in touch with you. I am happy to reach out directly to your school principal, which is what we have to do quite a bit, unfortunately. But
oh my God, yes, please.
I will happily do that, and we would love to come in and talk to your students. But thanks for all that you do, Marie. I appreciate it. It is thankless work. If you don't get thank yous very often, let me be one of them. And hang in there. I know it's not an easy thing to do, but it's absolutely critical, especially at the high school level. You're like the last line of defense before these young people become adults, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Marie.
Appreciate
Thanks for your call. Have a great one. That's pretty disheartening, I must say. I mean, I'm not surprised about Dodea cutting all of this enrichment stuff for their kids, but Guam Public School, come on, man. Come on, GDOE. We're better than that. We're way better than that. This is sad. It's interesting because it is absolutely a part of the mandate. It's a part of GovGuam policy that this content should be included in our schools. It wasn't that long ago that we were even producing texts that were required texts in schools. So the Department of Tamoto Affairs actually used to have this division called Research, Publication, and Training, which unfortunately is dormant and unfunded now. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, legislators. It's a very important function of the Department of Tomoto Affairs. Research, publication, and training was built to be not just a research arm for DCA, but it was meant to be a mechanism to produce content, to produce information that could be consumed by our people. And so when RPT first started their work, one of their major projects was the Haletta series. I don't know if any of you remember this, but the Haletta series was a series of books that was produced by the Department of Tomoto Affairs. And they were meant to, tell the story of our people. And one of the texts that was produced as part of the Haletta series was actually produced by the Commission on Decolonization's predecessor, which was the Political Status Education Coordination Commission. I know it's a long name. But the Political Status Education Coordination Commission put out this great book. It was a blue hardbound book, really nice book. And it was, meant to kind of map out the history of Guam's struggle for self-determination and some of the information that the commission thought was critical in raising people's level of awareness prior to an act of self-determination. And so I remember when I was a public school teacher, I'm totally throwing Southern under the bus here, which I normally don't do, but when I was a teacher at Southern High School, I remember going into like some of these the book rooms, right, where we stored all of these texts. I was just looking for stuff that I could use, and I remember stumbling upon boxes and boxes of Haletta books, and I was just shocked. I was like, wow, what is all of this stuff doing here? And a little backstory, when the Haletta series was being produced, it came with a mandate that GDOE would not only purchase but utilize these books in the classrooms. And so DOE purchased all of these books from the Department of Tomoto Affairs, and they were supposed to be implemented into the classroom. I remember when I was in 9th grade at GW, my teacher, Mrs. Yanger at the time, Miss Yanger, peace to you, Miss Yanger, she was using those books, but I don't remember ever using them after that. And these books are fantastic. They even had like this Manfadzi series, which is like the who's who in Gov Guam, the who's who in Samoto history. Really cool stuff. And it, kind of listed like all of these movers and shakers in our community and different aspects of our lives, different kind of area focus, and really cool information. But the I think the biggest thing for me was that these were textbooks that were produced by us for us. And that's like the true essence and spirit of decolonization, right? Is that we have to be the ones to decide what we're doing and why we're doing it and how it's going to all go down, right? Instead of being kind of force-fed these, cookie cutter solutions, like this is the way that everybody else in the U.S. does it, so you guys got to do it too. Instead, decolonization is about us saying, okay, these are the things that we value. These are the things that we think are critical and important. And this is what we're going to focus on. And so, it's definitely a shame to see these Haletta books kind of underutilized and just collecting dust. I hear now that there are efforts to assess where these books are at, how much of it is still usable, and getting them back into the classrooms. But it's going to require quite a bit of interagency cooperation. I'm hoping somebody from DOE Central is listening. You're going to be hearing from me soon. When I put my other hat on, you'll be hearing from me. But, the Commission on Decolonization has approached this work in this same vein. We've produced a bunch of material, and we deliberately distributed them to GDOE. So the self-determination study that Marie was referencing, it's definitely a dense reference text. But I'm a school teacher. I get it. So we made the Cliff Notes version with the pictures and everything and all the references. So, we donated these resources in pairs to all the public high schools. Every school was given a library reference set and a classroom set. And the goal was to, make these books accessible and then turn right around and start doing outreach. And so thankfully we were able to get into, with the help of Deputy Superintendent Joe Sanchez. Joe, if you're out there, I appreciate you, my guy. Joe was instrumental in ensuring that we were included in island-wide professional development. And so every school, all the Guam history teachers at all the public high schools get together during the summer, and they do a professional development with all the other content areas. So all the all the math teachers and all the English teachers and all the science teachers, they all have their own kind of track. And so we were lucky enough to get in with all the Guam history teachers so that we could share these resources, review what they are, help guide them in how to use them, and then, of course, turn around and make the offer to engage their students with outreach. So since that time, we've hit a ton of schools, and it's been really successful. We've been in a lot of classrooms. We've had a lot of great conversations, both with students, teachers, and administrators. And for the most part, it's been a successful run, in my opinion. Of course, there's always going to be a teacher or an administrator or a parent that says, oh, this is controversial. We shouldn't be teaching this in school. But to Marie's point, these are just the facts. We didn't write the history. If we wrote it, we probably wouldn't be having the same problems that we got now. That's just comes with the unincorporated territory. When you don't write your own history, there's going to be problems. So, for all of the educators out there, we're happy to engage with your students. We're happy to have these conversations with your classes. We encourage you to get parents involved. I would love to do an outreach with students and parents. I think that would be a lot of fun. What we do instead is, since we usually get them in different kind of separate sections, we encourage kids to have these conversations with their parents. And I think it's a cool thing, when kids are engaging their parents and asking questions. And, I remember at the beginning, I thought this might be problematic, like parents who don't have the answers to these questions and they're stumped at the dinner table and don't know what to say to their kid. But I've had parents approach me and tell me, my kid came home asking me these questions about political status and I didn't know. And they thanked us. They're like, thank you guys for putting this information out there. Because after that, I went and I read this stuff and I started to educate myself. And now me and my kid have this conversation all the time. And it's super fun, especially when parents and kids have a different perspective on status. You know what I mean? Like the parents are like, oh no, we're like super pro statehood. And then the kids are like, oh, we're pro free association. And they're just like having this like ongoing family debate at the dinner table. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. And I really encourage all of you, if that's something that I may humbly suggest in your celebration of Mes Tomorrow this year, make that be one of those things. Have the conversation at the dinner table. Debate Guam's political status and what our future will be with your kids. I think it's an awesome thing. And, I think it's important, especially for, parents whose kids are not of voting age yet. You're going to make this decision for them. And so I think it's important, for young people to have a way to weigh in and to insert their perspective and their desires in an act of self-determination. And I think, what better way than to have, an ongoing debate at the dinner table. I totally have been going off on a tangent. And there's a bunch of information I didn't even get to. But I just wanted to rifle off some of these milestones and some of these notable dates in Guam's quest for tomorrow self-determination. So, of course, we mentioned the Treaty of Paris signing in 1898. In December 17th of 1901, the Chamorro people first petitioned Congress for U.S. citizenship. The petition was signed by 32 prominent residents of Hagatna and asserted that, quote, the conditions instigated by the new naval government and the structure of the government itself were defective, end quote. They called for a permanent government rather than a transitional military government, which is not unseen, right? Like the U.S. military and many other instances in history have kind of played this transitional government, right? After there's a conflict or a war and the United States military comes in to intervene, they take on the responsibility, at least in the beginning, to implement and maintain local government. But normally that's transitioned out into a full, local government by the people who live there. But, this is in 1901. The Organic Act of Guam was not signed until 1950. So 49 years later, that's when the residents of Guam were given U.S. citizenship. Now, in 1917, the first Guam Congress was established by Governor Roy Smith. They served as a formal advisory board to the naval governor and had no authority to debate political rights or status issues, which I think was super problematic. There were 34 members of this body who were, and they were village commissions, deputy commissioners, and other prominent Samoros who were appointed by the governor. This is the Guam Congress that conducted the famous Guam Congress walkout. The first Guam Congress was replaced by the second Guam Congress in 1931. Again, in 1933, there was a petition calling for U.S. citizenship to be granted. It was signed by 2,000 Samoros and was transmitted to the White House in 1936. The people of Guam petitioned the U.S. for citizenship and improved political status, but their efforts were halted by World War II. This is the famous engagement by Baltazar J. Bordallo and Francisco Baza Leon Guerrero, who traveled to Washington, D.C., using local donations to lobby U.S. Congress for a citizenship bill. However, they would fail due to Navy opposition and the prospect of war. I think it's especially troubling that, today the Navy and DOD consistently asserts that we don't want to be involved in political status or political anything. That's not our place. That's not what we do. But they were involved back then. You know what I mean? They were completely involved. I would say they were more involved than we were. And so, fast forward, it wasn't until 1970 that Guam elected their first governor, who, of course, was Carlos G. Camacho. In 1947, the Guam Congress passed a resolution asking Governor Charles Ponwell to ask Congress to grant American citizenship and pass the organic legislature establishing civilian government. The Navy postponed actions as they waited for the results of the Hopkins study. The Hopkins study was commissioned by President Truman's Secretary of Defense to inspect and recommend changes in the government of American Samoa and Guam. The study recommended that, quote, congressional legislation provides civilian government via an organic act, American citizenship, a Bill of Rights, and local legislative powers be established by law. Again, not an act of self-determination. Choices, decisions being made for the people of Guam without our participation in it. It's almost like we were practicing to have a non-voting representative. We were like getting our lobby game on. Like let's test our lobbying ability. Man, I got to apologize to my staff who put all of this great research together for me, and I didn't even get through like half of it. But we're going to continue this at another time because we are right up at the top of the hour. But nonetheless, a fun show. I'm happy to all of the callers who weighed in this morning and to all of the people listening on our Guam COD Instagram, tuned in on the Wave YouTube. We are excited to continue this and to perpetuate these conversations. Stay tuned. Follow us on social media. We'll be providing updates on when we will be getting the representatives from the Free Association Task Force as well as the Statehood Task Force in the studio to have these conversations. I hope all of you have a great week. Enjoy it. Next week is Mes Tomorrow, and it's on like Donkey Kong. So, Biba Tomorrow Self-Determination. Thanks to all of you for tuning in, and we hope to hear from you soon. Have a great day, everyone. Adios.
KGUM-FM, Hagåtña, Guam. The sound of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Heather Bosch. The Trump administration is jump-starting its effort to lay off most federal employees who work for the foreign aid program USAID. The latest from CBS's Linda Kenyon.
Federal workers challenged the layoffs in court, but a federal judge rejected their pleas to extend a stay on those job cuts. The result is 611 workers deemed essential have been notified. But the Trump administration, through the Department of Government Efficiency, will eliminate 2,000 other positions at USAID, while a fraction of worldwide employees will be placed on administrative leave. A separate judge ruled the administration must restore funding to USAID's programs worldwide, at least temporarily. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
In an email, Elon Musk is demanding hundreds of thousands of other federal workers explain what they recently accomplished. Republican Senator John Curtis tells CBS's Face the Nation.
It's not unusual in a corporate setting to have people report and explain what they're doing, especially if they're working from home. So I don't think this is a request that is that difficult. I would ask my employees to let me know what they're doing.
Musk says he'll take failing to respond to his memo by midnight Monday as a resignation. Among those laid off, Greg Bafundo, who has rescued hikers and fought fires for the U.S. Forest Service.
People like me will not be available to help when the call comes.
The Vatican says Pope Francis is in critical condition now. Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan.
I was part of the conclave that elected him. I've gotten to know him. And so I worry about him as I would my own father, because he is our Holy Father.
The 88-year-old Pope is battling pneumonia. Israel has held up the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners slated to be let go as part of the Hamas-Israel ceasefire deal. Reporter Miriam Herschlag explains.
Israel says it's not releasing the 602 Palestinian prisoners for now because of what it called grotesque ceremonies in which Hamas paraded Israeli hostages and coffins in front of crowds. One of those